Hello everybody. Today I'm going to show you how to do a tack installation into your stock 80 to 86 Ford truck cluster. So we're going to be taking this tack and putting it in this cluster. Let me flip these over so you guys can see what the back looks like. Now, the only real difference between these two is the tack in the middle compared to no tack in the middle. All of the other connections will be exactly the same. The only exception to this is 1980. In 1980, I believe a brake light and a turn signal illuminator, one of these top two, are a little different. Other than that, they're exactly the same. Now, if you wanted to do a tack install, you could simply swap the speedometers and you'd be good to go. But I'm a bit more of a traditionalist and prefer to keep trucks with their original hardware, so we will be removing everything and swapping the hardware for the tachs. Let's start tearing these things apart. Alright, so using a 1/4 and a 5/16 wrench, I got everything apart. All we're going to need from this cluster up here is this printed ribbon and the tack. So I'm going to get some of this other stuff out of the way, and we'll focus on this one down here. Alright, here's a condensed version of everything I'll need for the tack swap. I have the tack circuit, the tack, the original speedometer, original gauges, original housing, original bezel, and I did steal the lens from the other cluster. Now, as you can see, this bezel is really dirty, so I'm going to give it a bath. I also have some separation issues on this printed circuit that I'm going to address. And then we'll start putting this thing back together. One last step before we start putting things back together. Let's make sure these gauges are actually good. So far it looks like the oil gauge is good. Looks like the fuel gauge is also good. Let's make the ammeter do its little jump. Yep, that one's good. And lastly, it looks like this oil gauge is good. So I'll be using these 4 gauges that were original to the cluster. Now, before I get these installed back into the housing, I'm going to do a little cleanup on them and paint the needles. Okay, now that these look a lot better, let's start reinstalling everything. Okay, so I got everything installed and it's looking really good. My next step is going to be the bulbs. Now, this customer is going with LEDs, so I'm going to test the bulbs before they go into the socket and after they go into the socket, just so I know that everything's working when I install it. With the light bulb sockets installed, this is where I triple check my work. You can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 illumination lights working. A bit harder to see from the back side, but we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all 5 warning light or illumination lights for turn signals, brake light, high beam. They're all working as well. A quick secondary proof from the front to show that it's working. Here's one last look at the illumination lights from the front. Now, I've already polished this lens, the needles have been painted, the gauges have been tested, the lights work, every crack and crevice of this thing has been cleaned. This job's done. If you have any interest in having your cluster done, or a similar process, or even custom work, let me know. Be sure to look me up at BJ's Classic Clusters on Facebook. That's www.facebook.com/BJ's Classic Clusters. Thanks for watching.